Every day, thousands of homes send something down the drain and never think twice about where it goes. But under the streets of Kelowna and behind the fences of a facility most people never think about, it's a 24/7 operation built to manage everything we wash, rinse, and flush. And where a small team turns wastewater into clean water. Because protecting Okanagan Lake is essential for clean drinking water, supporting wildlife, and preserving the natural beauty of the region. It's a busy day on this Rutland street as city crews and contractors dig into one of the biggest upgrades this area has seen. Years in the making, this project will finally connect hundreds of homes to one of the city's most vital underground networks.
We're bringing sewer into an area in Rutland that has been on septic since the neighborhood was developed back in the 60s and 70s.
Until now, 500 homes in this neighborhood have relied on septic systems, many of which are long past their prime.
Septic fields generally have a life of about 30 years, so we're well past that service life of the septic fields.
Every property gets a sewer hookup at the lot line, but connecting to it? That's up to the homeowner.
We're not forcing anyone to connect to sewer. It's not mandatory, so they're able to connect when they're able to and they can afford to. It's here for when they need it, but every property does get a sewer service.
It may look straightforward, but getting it right takes careful planning and attention to every inch.
Everything runs by gravity here. There's nothing pumped. So we have to make sure that the sewer pipes are laid true to grade, we say. So at a minimum of 2% grade from the property line out to the street. So everything flows properly and out to the main pipes.
Connecting to the new sewer line unlocks new potential and new possibilities for how each property can be used.
Now people are able to do different things with their yards. You know, maybe somebody wanted to put a pool in, but they can't put it over their septic field. A carriage house, anything like that. So it helps people just have the flexibility to use their properties to their full potential. This area is all single-family homes, now zoned multifamily, so ability to add more housing units here. But it needs sewer. The aging septic fields will only last so long, and in order to develop or in order to get rid of a septic field, you need a sewer connection to tie into.
By moving away from aging septic systems, this project also helps safeguard groundwater.
We're getting all this septic loading out of the ground, into the pipes, into the infrastructure where we can treat it properly through the wastewater treatment plant.
The upgrade connects this area to Kelowna's sanitary system, a network of hundreds of kilometers of gravity-fed pipes beneath the streets. When things get too low, the system relies on one of 44 lift stations to raise the elevation of the wastewater. These lift stations are inspected and maintained by wastewater operators like Ryder Fortis.
Basically, without the lift stations, there's nowhere for the wastewater to go. It kind of just stay in your general area, it'll stay by your house instead of actually being on its way to the wastewater treatment plant to be treated. Once it gets here, we have 2 pumps inside that pump all the wastewater up to higher elevation so it can gravity feed down towards the plant.
Most wastewater travels through multiple lift stations on its way to the treatment facility, each one helping it cover more ground.
We just keep on pumping it up, gravity feed down. When it gets to a certain point, we'll pump it back up again, so it's a constant cycle of up and down, up and down.
But every now and then, the flow hits a snag and clogs need clearing. This is where the city's vacuum trucks come in. These trucks are a key part of the system's operation, clearing grease, grit, and other gunk that doesn't move on its own. Over at the city's wastewater treatment facility, wastewater operator Chelsea Thompson begins her shift.
Some days you're coming in and you're mostly monitoring the different pumps and equipment that we have on site here. That can include maintaining them, you know, you're changing oil, changing belts, and just ensuring that everything's operating as it should. And then other days we come in and we're kind of doing more lab work. We kind of take samples from around the plant and we find out essentially how the treatment process is doing.
What enters the plant as wastewater leaves as clean water, thanks to a carefully managed treatment process that meets strict environmental standards.
Our job here is to ensure that it basically meets the regulatory standards given to us. So the Ministry of Environment's involved. We have a permit. So we're looking at specific things that we're intended to remove to a certain point and ensuring that we meet those permits so that it's absolutely safe to put it out into the lake and recycle either back into our drinking water system or to just have recreational activities within it.
Before anything else can happen, the big stuff has to come out.
Everything that first comes into the wastewater treatment plant comes to these screens to be filtered out of all the big chunks of organics and inorganics. Really anything that goes down the toilet that's bigger than 6 millimeters is going to get caught here.
Occasionally, what gets caught is surprising.
One time I personally found like a little Hulk/Frankenstein figurine. He was kind of around this big and, filled with flour, like one of those squishy things. So he was kind of just like imploded because, it's all saturated with nice wastewater juices. You can really find anything. It kind of makes you think, how the heck did this figure even get here down underneath from the toilet? But yeah, it's kind of boggling.
I think if you have kids, you've probably found things missing throughout your house, especially maybe little toys, things like that. They do end up in this plant. Sorry to anyone who's flushed a goldfish down the toilet. It doesn't go to the lake. It unfortunately comes here to us.
I'd say the normal person will just throw things down and don't think about where it goes, so that we end up with here.
Despite its scale, the system is surprisingly delicate, and items like wipes, floss, grease, and even paper towel can do serious damage.
It can stop our pumps, our process. It can scour our pipes so that we'll have to do a bunch new of excavating to put down new pipes. So it's just better to leave stuff out of the drain if you can.
I wish people understood the complexity of the treatment itself. There's a lot of issues that come into this plant because we don't think about it when we put flushable wipes down our toilet, and we don't think about it when we're pouring grease down our drains, that it all comes here and it has an effect on the treatment process. And in turn, it goes out into the lake, and that's really affecting the whole community, right? Because we all use this lake, and we want to ensure that we can do the best job we can to have the best treatment we can, so we can all enjoy it.
After screening out the big stuff, the water flows into a cyclone system designed to remove small grit like sand, coffee grounds, and eggshells.
Yeah, we have a lot of pipes and pumps that go throughout the plant, and if we have a bunch of coffee grinds or sand going through our pipes, it's just a bunch of sandpaper slowly wielding away until we have to tear up our entire plant just to replace all these pipes.
But when the grit stops flowing, it usually means something made it through the screens that doesn't belong in the cyclone.
We will take it apart and find little figurines or toys like this. It's Gandalf, which is so funny because you shall not pass, and very literal sense in this case.
You shall not pass!
Anything that makes it through the screening room begins the long process to becoming clean water.
These are our primary clarifiers. So essentially what you're looking at are very large tanks. And the purpose of them is to allow things to settle to the bottom.
It's just a way of separating out a bunch of solids and the fat solids and greases that float up. It's basically just a large tub that as the water goes through, things will slowly separate until we're left with a clear effluent.
After the water and grease are removed, the remaining sludge becomes biosolids, trucked off and recycled into nutrient-rich compost called OGOGROW. Behind this complex system is a small team with a big job, keeping it all running every single day.
We have around 15 or so operators. We have a maintenance staff where we have 4 full-time millwrights. We have 4 electricians. We have a SCADA operator as a tech. We have a bunch of administration and upper management, and all together it's really nice because we all work cohesively. Everyone has their own job and just works.
There's no off switch. This facility runs 24/7, 365 because it has to. But back in 2020, in the early days of the COVID pandemic, that commitment was put to the test.
Teams and teamwork are really important just to get the job done, which during this pandemic has made it even more difficult because It's hard to be working as a team. It's hard for two people to be working closely on a heavy piece of equipment when they're supposed to be 6 feet apart, or when they have to communicate through a mask. And that makes the work certainly very challenging. I think we've done a phenomenal job of continuing to make sure that water and wastewater operations are reliable, sustainable, as our community expects, and the community itself saw no impact on those operations from this pandemic.
Without us here, everybody would notice. If we weren't doing our job, you would see algal blooms in the lake. You probably wouldn't want to start swimming in the lake and drinking the water here. So in a sense, we feel like we're a part of that and making sure that this community is enjoyable to live in.
With all solids removed, the water moves to the bioreactor. Over a number of days, microorganisms clean the water by breaking down harmful bacteria, all closely monitored by the team on site.
The amount of biology that we kind of hone in on to make sure that our plant runs, because if we don't focus our attention on all those bugs, those microorganisms, there's going to be lots of phosphorus, lots of ammonia still in the plant. That's going to go out to the lake. Algal blooms, fish could die because there's, depleted amounts of oxygen in the water. So there's a lot of behind the scenes that the general public doesn't know about.
Throughout the year, the team makes ongoing adjustments. No 2 days here are exactly the same.
You can have, a 40 to 60 degree swing in the temperature. That's absolutely going to affect your bugs. It's going to affect your wastewater treatment. So how we run this plant in the winter is entirely different than how we would run it in the summer.
Despite everything flowing through this plant, it rarely smells like it, thanks to a smart system scrubbing the air clean.
We have a pretty good foul air system here, which cleanses the air, so there's not any kind of wafts of odor. And it's perfect because, we have a high school, college, elementary, we have residential everywhere. And it's really rare for us to actually get an odor complaint at all.
In the final stages of the treatment process, the water is clarified, filtered, and disinfected with UV light, making sure it leaves the plant just as clean as nature intended.
A lot of our effluent leaving the plant into the lake is actually a lot cleaner than the lake itself.
Behind every flush is a system that protects our health and our environment.
Everyone goes to the washroom, everyone puts on the sink. That's going to have to go somewhere.
You don't see it, but you rely on it every day.
We're able to make it cleaner to go back into the environment instead of just dumping pure wastewater into our lake that's going to stay there for decades.
A critical operation handled by a small team that doesn't just show up for the job, they show up for each other.
We're operators here, but we work as a team with other people too to make this facility run. We're so lucky to have millwrights full-time and electricians and lab and administration, and we all bring this different skill set to this industry that really make it work.
And without them, you'd notice fast. Keeping a city like Kelowna running takes more than pipes, pumps, and treatment tanks. It takes people who care about the work and why it matters.
I love what I do.
Be able to say that you're taking something gross and contaminated and making it safe to go back out to, be able to swim with your kids or doing water sports, or just make sure that the fish are still swimming in the lake.
It's easy to take for granted, but beneath our streets and behind the scenes, there's a team making sure Kelowna stays clean, safe, and flowing in the right direction.